Hey guys, Bix Weir, RoadToRuta.com with an alert. An alert on the road to Ruta means there's issues. The head of the plunge protection team is quitting. The head of the plunge protection team is quitting. How big is this for cryptos? Huge. How big is this for gold and silver? Huge. It's not only the head, but number 1 and 2. Is it all happening? Absolutely. They do not want to be here come September. This is from Zero Hedge. Back in the summer of 2012, a historic, if largely underreported, change took place at the New York Fed when Brian Sack, the former head of the Fed's market groups, also known as the Plunge Protection Team's trading arm, was replaced by former UCLA economist Simon Potter. Potter's arrival was most notable not only for taking over the Fed's QE baton from Sack, currently a director of quant trading at giant D.E. Shaw. D.E. Shaw is knee-deep in the road to Ruta. Quant trading, all about derivatives. Because his arrival also marked the start of the multi-year crash in the VIX future, which collapsed the month Potter took over and has hit ever steeper lows since. This is pure market manipulation. If you want proof, there you have it right there. But what does it mean? Several years later, it was Zero Hedge that first reported on the practical implications of Potter's apparent market intervention, when just a few months later, October 22nd and 24th, at the FOMC meeting, now Fed Chair Jerome Powell made the following striking remarks, which was disclosed last year as part of the Fed's declassifications of its FOMC transcripts. Here's what he said. When it's time for us to sell or even stop buying, the response could be quite strong. There's every reason to expect a strong response. So there are a couple of ways to look at it. It's all about 1.2 trillion in sales. You take 60 months, you get about 20 billion a month. That's a very doable thing, it sounds like, in a market where the norm by the middle of next year is 80 billion a month. Another way to look at it, though, and this is where he gives up the ghost, is that it's not so much the sale, the duration, it's also unloading our short volatility positions. Massive manipulation in the derivative markets. Massive. By the Fed and the Exchange Stabilization Fund and the U.S. Treasury. The Fed's VIX trading aside, this was the most fascinating part of Powell's speech, one which contains some truly unprecedented for a future Fed chairman admissions. This is from his speech. I think we are actually at a point of encouraging risk-taking, and that should give us pause. Investors really do understand now that we will be there to prevent serious losses. It is not that it is easy for them to make money, but that they have every incentive to take more risk, and they are doing so. Meanwhile, we look like we are blowing a fixed income duration bubble right across the credit spectrum that will result in big losses when rates come up down the road. You can almost say that is our strategy, absolutely. Flood the market, and then pull the plug. Pull the plug. We're about to get to the pull the plug point. I don't know if the stock market will go up, down, or sideways. All I know is everything's going to freeze. Everything will freeze. And this is all on the heels of everything's fine. If you listen to the Trump administration, everything's fine, no problem. Lies upon lies, built on Obama lies, built on Bush lies, built on Clinton lies, built on Bush lies, built on Reagan lies, built on every single president going on down. Every administration back to Woodrow Wilson in 1913 has lied. I'm sure they lied before that too. We bring all this up because moments ago, the New York Fed announced that Simon Potter, the chief operating officer of the markets group and the man who single-handedly implemented the Fed's short volatility position, will be retiring. And only that, but he will be taking with him the second most important person at the Fed's plunge protection team, the head of the financial services group, from the press release. Here's the press release. They're all abandoning ship. I told you, I said it a million times. I just talked to Dave from X22 Report about this. It was the plan to destroy the system all along. That's why Litecoin is so damn important. Because the system is going to be void of a means of exchange. That is the mother, the holy grail of crypto moonshots. That means of exchange when the banking system fails. Here's the press release. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York today announced that Simon Potter, Executive Vice President and Head of Markets Group, and Richard Dinza, Executive Vice President and Head of Financial Services Group, will be stepping down from their respective roles effective June 1st. June 1st? Like next week? They announce it now? Nice transition. John C. Williams, President and Executive Officer of the New York Fed, named Ray Testa, Chief Operating Officer of the Markets Group, as interim head of the Markets Group, and Chris Armstrong, Senior Vice President of Cash Operations, as interim head of the Financial Services Group, starting immediately. The role of Product Director for the Wholesale Product Office will revert to Michael Strine, the bank's first Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, until a new head of the Financial Services Group is in place. They're not even going to replace him. They know they're not going to be around long enough. The whole thing is about to blow sideways. This is crazy. Crazy. It is worth noting that a replacement for Potter has yet to be picked, and the New York Fed will conduct a broad and thorough search for their successors. Expect Potter's successor to be intimately familiar with selling VIX, buying ETFs, ramping HTFS stops, triggering upward momentum cascades, and certainly knowing all there is to know about record stock buybacks. For some more details on this, on the historic transition from the press release. Mr. Potter joined the New York Fed in 1998 as an economist after a career in academia. Mr. Potter served as Director of Economic Research and co-head of Research and Statistics Group at the New York Fed prior to becoming head of the Markets Group in June 2012. In his role, he oversaw the implementation of domestic open market foreign exchange trading operations on behalf of the FMOC, meaning he was in charge of market rigging through derivatives. The execution of fiscal agent support for the U.S. Treasury, the provision of account services to foreign and international monetary authorities, and the administration and production for reference interest rates of the U.S. money markets. Mr. Potter has played a prominent role in the Fed's financial stability efforts, including by contributing to the design of the 2009 U.S. bank stress tests. As a member, he's getting out of Dodge. He is getting way out of Dodge. As a member of the International Microeconomic Assessment Group that supported the Basel Committee's work to strengthen the bank's capital standards, and most recently as chair of the Global Foreign Exchange Committee. Quote, I want to thank Simon for all his leadership over the years. Do I sound like a banker? Said Mr. Williams. His contributions have been great value to the bank, the FMOC, and the system. Most recently, his deep experience in and understanding of markets were critical in helping the committee think through and execute a path toward monetary policy normalization. And he has... What? Normalization? And he has been a leading and influential voice globally on a reference rate reform. Normalization? They just said he's the one who created the bomb. The bomb has been lit. The fuse is lit. It's about to blow, and he's getting off the boat. There's nothing normal about that. In parting, the current head of the New York Fed wrote, quote, both Simon and Richard have contributed greatly throughout their careers, and they each leave a substantial, substantive legacy. Like a big turd in the toilet is what they left. Not the least of which is the depth and breadth of talent they've nurtured at the bank on their teams. Crazy days, my friend. This is awesome. This is great news. This is exactly what the road to Ruta talks about. The Fed is trying to destroy the system, create as much money as possible, create money to infinity. That's what Ruta wrote in the sand in the 1981 comic book coming out of the Fed Boston. Print as much money as possible, soaking up all the benefits of unbacked money. Build roads and bridges and houses in your military. Spend, 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 spend. And then spend and don't tell anybody that money was even created. Flood the world with money and then set off the bomb, set off the derivative bomb. That was Alan Greenspan that created the derivative bomb by his, shall we say, forceful pushing of no regulation on derivatives in the late 90s. Ask Sheila Bair about that. She was the head of the CFTC. She won a Kennedy Award for Courage because she stood up against Greenspan. But she didn't know Greenspan wasn't doing it for the bankers. Greenspan was doing it to destroy the bankers, to make sure that they have enough rope to hang themselves, because that's what bankers do. The greedy bastards would hang themselves every time, and that's what they did. Yes, we bailed them out in 2008 because we were dumb. We're not dumb anymore. Everybody walk down the street and ask anybody if they would ever approve of a bank bailout again, ever, on any time on planet Earth. It ain't going to happen. So, exciting news out of the Fed New York. Very exciting. If you want to know this, I've told the story 50 times. If you read The Road to Ruta, this is what the Road to Ruta is. Blow the bubble, blow the bubble, blow the bubble, control the system with computers and derivatives, and then explode the bubble. We're hitting this close to the explode the bubble moment. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to roadtoruta.com, click an introduction to Ruta, and you'll get it. And if you're interested in the Road to Ruta Patreon channel, we are up and running. 35 articles already. I just posted the paper wallet vulnerability. I posted on the private road as well. So both private road and Patreon are getting the good stuff. Silver secrets you should know. Litecoin to the moon. All this good information. Join the Road to Ruta Patreon channel or roadtoruta.com. Become a private road member. And you'll get the same information down here in the private road section. If you scroll down past all the music, right there. Road to Ruta Patreon posts. And there you have it. So that's your story. If you just want to pay the $10 a month to get on the Patreon, go for it. And I promise you, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. It's Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. I'll talk to you later.